Hey everybody, it's Gomladex, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today we're going to be playing another premiere draft of Modern Horizons 3, and without further ado, let's get into our Pack 1 Pick 1. And our Pack 1 Pick 1 here comes with a little bit of a state of the format address for everybody. Writhing Chrysalis. It's a card that looked real solid when the set came out. I recommended it definitely during the early access event. I think it was one of the sweetest multicolored uncommons, or multicolored commons, sorry, but little did I know, this has ended up being one of the most busted commons ever printed in draft. Out of everybody who tracks their data on 17 lands, it is currently the second highest win rate card when played in your deck out of everything in the entire set. Not just commons, it's better than every common. It's better than every uncommon. It's better than every rare and mythic except for one card right now. This thing has been just completely busted. It's an army in a can. It gives you the 2 mana back, so it's sort of like a 2 mana 4/5 when you think of it that way. It's got reach, so you don't die to the flying decks. It can go tall. It can go wide. It can ramp into your big 7-drop with extra mana. It is completely ridiculous, and you basically take it over literally anything. For pick 2, we have another super absurd card, but it's going to require some splashing around if we want to run all of our cards together. I think it's strong enough to still take it, though, and that is Crabomination. Crabomination is a 6 mana 5/5. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent exiles the top card of their library, a card at random from their graveyard, and a card at random from their hand, and you get to cast one of those for free. So you get to just play the most explosive spell out of those 3 cards alongside a 5/5 body. This is a huge bomb rare. It's always going to be a 2-for-1, and it's an incredible way to end a game. So we got to take the Crabomination there. For pick 3, we have 2 really solid options because they go so well with the Writhing Chrysalis. One of them is the Nightshade Dryad, which can ramp into it. This can also fix our mana for Crabomination if we want to splash that in a green-red deck, or if we want to play green-black, splash red, this also helps there. So I do really like the mana fixing aspect of the Nightshade Dryad when we're starting with 3 colors worth of cards, so I'm going to take it for that reason. But the Malevolent Rumble is also a very solid spell, and it's one that combos particularly well with Writhing Chrysalis by digging for it out of the top 4 and giving you the spawn to either ramp into it or make it even bigger by sacking another Eldrazi. So Malevolent Rumble is definitely a sweet option too, but we're going to go for the Nightshade Dryad for fixing and ramp into our other bomb. For pick 4, we have 2 very reasonable on-color removal spells. Fanged Flames is 4 damage for 2 mana, and it exiles whatever you hit, which is pretty good. Stomp Stomp is arguably a little bit worse because you have to have a creature on board to cast it, but arguably a little better because you can also use it as mana fixing. Again, since we're potentially dancing around with 3 colors here, I'm going to take the removal spell that also has a mana fixing backup plan over the Fanged Flames there. It's also slightly easier to cast. We can cast it off green or red instead of specifically one on a red. So whether red is a core color of our deck or green is a core color of our deck, that's easily castable. Pick 5, we don't really see anything towards an Eldrazi deck. This is honestly just a pretty awkward pack overall. Serum Visionary is a pretty incredible blue value creature, just a good value play. The Brain Surge is great, blue card draw. Gargantua's decent card draw out of black, but it's a pretty expensive creature, and once you get to high mana costs, you can play much bombier stuff like Crabomination and Chrysalis. So I guess we're just like speculating towards blue here with a good value play or something. I don't think any of this is really going to make the cut for what we're doing right now. I'll actually just even rare draft the Mythic. It's a pretty fun one to have in the collection. Pick 6, we've got Pyro Surfer, which is great for aggro. It can also make all your Eldrazi spawn attack in for damage, which is pretty cute, so I might take it for that reason. The Embermage is solid for stabilizing. Shoot something for 4 and get a 4/4 blocker, but it does cost a lot of mana. And I guess you could immediately play it turn 5 after a Chrysalis, which is cute. Yeah, I'm going to go slower and grindier and take the more defensive card. The kind of stabilizer over the quick aggro landfall trigger card. Pick 7, a bunch of pretty narrow cards for specific synergistic archetypes like artifact decks and modified decks, and just not the kind of deck we're playing right now. There's Some pretty inefficient graveyard recursion with Grave Dig, or there's just like a flyer. I mean, I guess I'll just take the flyer, but not pumped by that pack at all. Pick 8. Another pack of random nonsense. Infertile Captor might not be the worst in the world. If we get Eldrazi spawn, we can just sack a spawn to exploit for it. And that's pretty easy. Also play a Rebirth trying to pick up a bomb off the splash, which is cute, but again, pretty inefficient graveyard recursion, but pays up for it by being a 2-for-1. Yeah, Captor or Rebirth or something. I think any of these cards are kind of likely to get cut in the end, though. Pick 9. Guess there's graveyard recursion if we play a bunch of cycling cards and stuff. Another probably pretty quick cut, but I doubt we're going to be like the green-black +1/+1 counter deck. The Nesting Grounds is pretty cute there, though. Okay, now we can take the random graveyard recursion from Gravedig. Definitely looks like we are going to be fighting over our green and red spells to go with our Chrysalis, but I think it's worth it to stick to our colors. Chrysalis and Crabomination both being incredibly powerful reasons to try to play Jund, or just try to play their respective colors. So pack 2, pick 1, we see a bunch of reasonable fixing here, and I think those are our favorite options. We have Deceptive Landscape for green-black, Bountiful Landscape for green-red, Nightshade Dryad for any color and ramp, and Flare of Cultivation for a little bit more expensive, but any color and ramp. Also Breathe Your Last for great removal. But I think I'm going to go for the Nightshade Dryad here. I really like this mana dork. Great fixer, great ramper. It can go turn 2, play a mana dork, turn 3, play a 4-drop like Chrysalis, so the jump from 2 to 4 is a great mana cost jump to hit. I'm going to go for the Dryad. Death Touch is also really relevant with our Stump Stomp, making it so those can kill any creature we want. They also work with Horrific Assault. With Horrific Assault on a Nightshade Dryad, since it's got the Death Touch, it can kill whatever we want. But here the Horrific Assault is competing with both an Eldrazi Repurposer, which would be solid for getting a wide board State of Eldrazi spawn, and Spawn Gang Commander, which would be solid for getting a wide board State of Eldrazi spawn. I think these are the best cards for this kind of deck, and I think Spawn Gang Commander is a little too crazy to pass up here. I'm going to go for that over Repurposer, but I like both a lot. And now pick 3 doesn't have much for us. I guess we just take an on-color fetch land. Not super exciting. Pick 4, a second Crabomination gets passed around to us? Well, let's go. This thing is busted. If we can get a few really good artifacts, now that I have double Crabomination, that might be worth it to make the emerge from artifact more consistent, to cast them for cheap. Because if we sack like a 4-mana artifact, like one of these random living weapon things, if there's a big enough one, then we could emerge it for only like 3 mana, which could be explosive. I mean, we're definitely taking another Crabomination. Pick 5. There's another Eldrazi Repurposer. Very happy with that. Bridgeworks Battle is also reasonable. If this were another like dual land on the backside like Stump Stomp is, I would probably take it over Repurposer, but since it isn't, I'm going to go with the Repurposer here. Pick 6, a bunch of solid filler. Here's a random shut off all of your opponent's blockers win condition. That's a land when you need it early. Here's a random exile a graveyard creature. That's a land when you need it early. I think I want to take one of these random land cards. And I'll take the black one here. I'm going to try to head deeper into black, I think, since we have double Crabomination and they both need double black. Here's a green-black landscape. I think we have to take that very highly at this point. Here is, unfortunately, an off-color landscape, so we can't really take that, but we can certainly take a Malevolent Rumble. This can dig for not just the Chrysalis, it can dig for either of our 2 Crabominations to get those to get cast, plus the Eldrazi spawn means we could cast one for only 5 mana, which is explosive. Or technically still for 6 mana, but with only 5 lands on our board. Here's another green-black fixer. We're very happy to see that. Here is an off-color landscape. Unfortunate. So we'll just take another quest for the Necropolis. The only on-color card. Again, we're not much of a reanimator deck. We're not self-milling. We're not discarding cards. We're probably cutting the quest. as fun as it could be. Now, I think I take more filler black cards so that we can try to be more green, black, splash, red than the other way around because we've got double black rare at this point. 2 black rares that both cost double black to play. Alright, Scurrilous Sentry is fine filler that is on color. Alright, pack 3 pick 1 looks excellent. We have the green black fixing land. We have the Brood Scale that gives us another spawn to ramp up. We have the Solar Transformer, which is like a Nightshade Dryad, but it's not a creature, where it can ramp up and fix mana when we need to, giving us mana of any color. I mean, double incredible 6-drop. I'm gonna go for the Solar Transformer. We could also emerge sacrificing this to play a Crabomination on 5 mana instead of 6, because we'd reduce the cost by 2 by sacking this this artifact, so that's a cute combo. That's a very cute combo with the Crabomination. Since we have 2 copies of it, I'll go for that. Pack 3 pick 2. We are splashing around for a 3rd color, so I don't really want to go for Consuming Corruption. We're going to have a lot of non-basics and not a ton of swamps. We can go for another really big 2-for-1 finisher, the Annoyed Altasaur. We can go for some somewhat cheap removal with Horrific Assaults. I think I like the curve enough here, and since I'm cutting like all this double red stuff at this point, I want a little more high mana value stuff because I've got a bunch of good cheap ramps, so I'm going to take the Altasaur over the removal there. Now, nothing much. We take the splashed in removal of Fanged Flames, and we'll probably splash it in. That looks reasonable. Perfect Landscapes here. It's unfortunate that we got 2 copies of the Perfect Landscape in the same pack, so I can't have both of them, but I will take one of those over a Skittering Precursor. Pack 3 pick 5, no Landscapes here, but now we can take a Skittering Precursor. I mean, it's kind of off the splash, because red is the splash, green and black are the core colors, but there are no cards that are particularly good in this deck out of our core colors. Pick 6. Alright, now we got a Brood Scale for another piece of Eldrazi spawn ramp. We'll take that over an off-color landscape. Probably cutting these quests. Maybe the Rebirth. I think I like the black-red dual land here. Blood-Soaked Insight. So it's a black-red dual land, but if we top deck it when we're flooded out, we could draw a couple cards out of our opponent's deck. Pretty cute. Nothing much for pick 8. Yeah, probably not doing much here. I'll take another Gravedigg that's likely to get cut. Now a Scurrilous Sentry. Another Gravedigg. Although I could play one of these spell lands. Pretty cute. Double red's a hard sell, but we're also not aggressive for Sunring Eruption, so I think I'm just going to take Gravedigg again. I want to try to just keep recasting Crabominations that have died. We have the setup to do that. We have like 4 different pieces of Graveyard Recursion at this point. 3 Gravediggs and the Pyretic Rebirth. That could be cute. Alright, so we get to cut 8 cards. Here's a couple dual lands. This is just a black source. Again, we're not doing quest combos. We can drop those. I like all our cheap little mana ramp cards for sure. Fanged Flames. We don't have a lot of removal here, so that removal on the splash seems reasonable. Gravedigg is pretty inefficient. Graveyard Recursion, so those are maybe cuts. Drawsclaw, we are not aggressive. I think that's definitely a cut, even with double Crabomination to try to like emerge from artifact that thing. We could just hard cast it and it's still good. We don't need to play a mediocre artifact for this deck just for emerge. Call me. I mean, we're never draining, but another little Death Toucher makes our Stump slightly better, and it's fine for a slower deck that's just trying to hit 6 mana bombs. Mindless Conscription, we are never drawing the extra cards, so it's a 3 mana 3/3, that's pretty much it. Probably just prefer not to run that thing. Gatekeeper's okay with Chrysalis and Spawn Gang. I don't know if we're going to splash in Spawn Gang, though, because the double red could be hard. So Precursor works with landscapes and wooded foothills to make more Eldrazi spawn, and it only costs a single red mana, so it's not that difficult to cast. I think that's fine. So Skyclaw, I think, is definitely a cut, right? Because it costs double red and it's not even that strong. Probably same with Ember Mage. Spawn Gang Commander is the only double red card that might be strong enough it's still worth a consideration. I guess I've got double Scurrilous Sentry for discards that goes pretty well with Rebirth. Now we could just cut 2 Gravedigs and call it a deck. Yeah, we're really low on interaction, so actually Rebirth for another random way to shoot something is good. We just have Flames, Rebirth, and Stump Stomp for removal. And I can cut like 2 Gravedigs. And then I'm on 17 lands plus 3 spell lands. Stump Stomp I almost always want to play as a spell because I'm so low on removal. So it's like 17 lands plus 2 extra backup lands to make sure that I can consistently go up to like 6 and 7 mana. I mean, we have enough spell lands, we could cut like 1. But this is certainly nowhere near a deck where we want to cut lands 1 for these spell lands. Because we're probably going to want them as spells more often than lands, even if it means running basically an 18 or 19 land deck, because our curve goes high up and it has really impactful spells up there. I really don't think there are any spells that we have cut that are good enough to really want to play over one of these spell land cards. Like maybe another Gravedig or a Quest for the Necropolis to try to redo a bomb. That's kind of it. There aren't too many other options. Red-green stuff was pretty contentious in the first couple packs. I should have just dived deeper on black early. I think I got too excited about Chrysalis, and I should have realized like it's only 1 red mana. It's so splashable. We didn't need to be that deep on red, but we got the Spawn Gang relatively early as well. That got me pretty excited. But we certainly saw a couple pretty good black spells somewhat later that I think we took some just decent red stuff over. That worked out pretty poorly for us. If we were like heavy green-black, just splash a little red, that'd be the best build of this deck. And we would have had more playables and more options in the end in this position. So not a perfectly navigated draft, but we still got the double Chromomination. So we've still got a lot of power here, even if we just stumbled into it. So it still looks like a fun deck, still looks like a strong deck, and we will call it a deck here. Alright, here we are on the play for game 1. Not super in love with the hand. Obviously, we want to find our bombs and stuff, but not horrific. And here's the red source to help it out. I think we just crack it immediately for turn 3 Precursor. Metastatic Evangel. I would love interaction for that, where that thing can pop off. They play like the card that makes a shield counter or something. And they just immediately proliferate that shield counter. That'd be real bad for me. That's the most explosive I've seen that card be. Just have double shield counter on turn 3. And then of course from then on it really easily proliferates a bunch of other stuff. Demon Inferior. I think I just ditch it. We're just gonna play Scurrilous Sentry next turn. Maybe even just crack Wooded Foothills to lower the land count here, now that I have 6 mana guaranteed. Turn 6. Sure. Get the second red if we hit the Spawn Gang Commander. Nightshade Dryad. I think I'm just gonna ditch the trawler here. Well, is Nightshade Dryad gonna be more relevant than that? Probably not. Yeah. Yes, I ditched that. Triton Wavebreaker. +1/+1 prowess, so they do some kind of combat trick here and win. Or we do get to get rid of the proliferator. I'll take it. Blood-soaked insight for the late game. Cool. For the here and now, here's Akami. Hold off their Wavebreaker and start draining for life, since I have nothing better to do right now. In 7 mana, we have to do this at a sorcery, but we exile the cards till the end of our next turn. So I could tap out for this and then do it a turn later. Emrakul's Messenger. Another Scurrilous Sentry? I feel like I play that over basically anything. Do my second draw for the turn. I would need to draw 3 in 1 turn to trigger this. That's not going to happen here. Found the Spawn Gang Commander, and we've got the mana for it. Alright, now I guess I just dropped the trawler. We got a couple landscapes here, so it's a little difficult to sack the spawns in this deck. We have 3 landscapes. Ditch that. Hello. Ooh, I would have loved an untapped source for you. I mean, Spawn Gang Commander is still all the mana we need to do that, so we don't play this as a tap land just to cast Altasaur. We can sack a spawn to do that. You know what's crazy with the Annoyed Altasaur in this deck? We have 2 Crabominations that we could maybe... Like, the dream magical Christmas land cascade is to cast our 7-drop and hit our 6-drop Crabomination. There's 2 copies, so it's not, like, insanely unlikely. It is unlikely, but not insanely so. Alright, well that is unfortunate for our opponent. The Eldrazi triggers in this format are all cast triggers and not enter the battlefield triggers. So their copy crook thingy does not get the spawn to sacrifice to its ability. It probably would have been better as just another messenger. If I sack all 3 of my spawn, I can kill this thing. No, we just take it. We're going to play a 6/5 reach next turn. I guess I could sack 2 spawn and the commander to kill it. But I really want to play Annoyed Altasaur this turn, and I'm going to do it. Go! Mon Crabomination. Well... I mean, a 5-drop's a pretty good cascade, regardless. We will take it. Oof. Riddle Keeper to stun down our Reach creature and our Death Toucher. So I can Spawn Gang. Oh my god, Scurry of Gremlins is insane. +1/+0 haste to the whole board. Yeah, okay, so now we're probably just dead because I'm taking so much here that I likely have to sacrifice the Eldrazi spawn to shoot the messenger, in which case I don't have removal to kill the Riddle Keeper. And that hits me for a ton again next turn. In fact, they have all the energy they need to get their whole board +1/+0 haste again. Yeah, no, that was just an insane turn from our opponent. I mean, you got me, I guess. Yeah, there's nothing we can do here. I can kill, like, the messenger, but then I have no removal for Riddle Keeper, plus their whole board gets +1/+0 haste again, and they're still going to have these gremlins and stuff. Okay, unless they do that. They don't have haste to the whole board next turn, but they still have more than enough creatures to beat my board unless I hit like exactly Crabomination or something and get multiple blockers. Well, that's a shot. If Crabomination hits removal for the Riddle Keeper, then I block a 1/1 take 2, go to 3, and stabilize from there once my creature's untap. Also, if Crabomination hits something that draws 2 cards, I can drain them off of the Kami, because that'd be my second and third draw for the turn. So spin the wheel on Crabomination and see what happens. Stormdrake, Demon Inferior, Superconductor. So Demon Inferior, the Riddle Keeper, they'd redraw it in 2 turns. So if their top deck doesn't draw them a card, I survive for a little bit. I kind of feel like I have to do that. By Stormdrake, I get 4 energy and trade this for something. Nope, Stormdrake's definitely not the pick. And Superconductor, I also just die, so I have to Demon Inferior the Riddle Keeper. It's the only way I survive. But they're going to redraw it in 2 turns. Unless I Blood-Soaked Insight it. If I hit a land for Blood-Soaked Insight, I exile the Riddle Keeper from the top of their deck. Okay, there is the land, which they do need. They need that land so they can cast the Riddle Keeper, because it's 8 mana. They have 4, 5, 6, 7. They can emerge it by sacking the Wavebreaker next turn. So I don't have the mana to exile the Riddle Keeper off of their deck unless they let me hit them a little bit, which I guess I can do with the Altasaur. I can hit them with Altasaur and then Insight for like 2 mana. Stump Stomp and Fanged Flames are both sorcery speed removal. So I think I do that, because if they end up casting Riddle Keeper, they get to stun Altasaur anyway. I guess I could always like Fanged Flames or Stump Stomp the Wavebreaker, and then they don't have the creature on board they need to emerge the Riddle Keeper, so they're going to top deck that. It's a dead draw, unless they crack the landscape to draw blind this turn. This is an interesting dilemma. Do we still steal their Riddle Keeper and some cards, or do we just let them dead draw? I guess if I Blood-Soaked Insight, they crack the landscape in response, and I'm getting a random 3 cards off of Insight. I think I still do it, if it's going to cost me just 2 mana at this point. This forces them to shuffle their deck at least. They're not guaranteed to redraw Riddle Keeper now. Or not. That works too. Royal Cartographer, Reiterating Bolt, Riddle Keeper. Pretty good. Don't have the colorless source for emerging Riddle Keepers, so we need to wait for 8 mana for that. We play this. We shoot a Wavebreaker. I guess I play a Stump Stomp as a land, so if I top deck a basic, then I can cast the Riddle Keeper. Otherwise, it's just exiled forever. Okay. $11, $12, $13. I hit them to 1 if I attack with the whole board. If I stun both of the gremlins. Again, you need colorless mana to emerge this. Alright, they're just going to concede there. I could tap the red sources instead, I guess. But I'm pretty sure we're just locking down the gremlins and putting them to... Probably just put them to 3 there and hold 3 blockers up. I don't think we have a massive reason to not play it pretty safe on the swing. They're still super, super dead next turn, even if they're at 3 instead of 1. I guess because I have the Kami on board, we could send in with, like, 3 creatures, hold back the 5/5 and the 1/3, and then they're dead to 1 Kami trigger, or 1 Altasaur swing, or 1 Flyer swing, or anything like that. Well, that was lucky. That just shows you how powerful Crabomination is. They had a very explosive turn right before we top decked Crabomination. I'm like, well, we're dead unless I top deck Crabomination and get lucky, and then we top decked Crabomination and got lucky. So it can just completely turn games around, and we start things off 1-0 heading into game 2. All right, here we are on the play for game 2. We've got Brood Scale turn 2 as the play. Save the landscape to see if I hit my double green Altasaur or one of my double black Crabominations first. And then crack it for whatever we need there. Same with saving this Twisted Landscape. We might need the red source for the Spawn Gang Commander. Alright, green-white is a very aggressive and very explosive archetype, so I would be pretty okay with trading Brood Scale into this Watchdog, but also I don't really want to hold it up and try to trade on blocks, because they could easily play any of the modified kind of cards and just stop me from blocking there. Anything that puts a +1/+1 counter on it, or any aura that goes on it, so I'm just going to play the Death Toucher here to try to block the Watchdog. Green-white is all about putting +1/+1 counters, auras, equipment, anything like that that modifies your creatures onto them. Alright, cool. I'll take the early trade just to buy some time to draw into our big late game plays. Muster the Departed. They get 2 1/1 spirits because a creature died this turn. Not bad at all. And it's at the beginning of their end step. If a creature died, they populate. Cool. So I can send in the Brood Scale super freely. And I've got the double red and the double green. Yeah, so I'm going to have perfect mana, like, no matter how I crack these things. So I guess I save this landscape for last, because I could cycle it to draw a card. And we do this one for green this turn. Malevolent Rumble. They're going to do some digging. Oh no, they found 6 and a Johnny Fells the Godsire? And whatever this thing is, they can't pick that thing up though, it's not a permanent. Oh, that's gross. Wow, 4 mana instant speed removal and you get to play whatever you removed if you have enough colorless mana. Alright, 6 it's gonna be. 6 is really gross. Every card in their graveyard gains Retrace, so they can cast whatever they want out of grave just by discarding a land. So really, really good value engine. Plus when 6 attacks, it tries to draw you the lands to discard, while also filling your graveyard with more spells. 6 is Very cool and very powerful. Here's another Malevolent Rumble. This one finds Proud Pack Rhino, which is just a really annoying blocker. 3/3 plus a shield counter. And it puts the shield counter anywhere, which is actually what makes it super busted. Because they can put a shield counter on 6 now, if they just play a land. So yeah, I'm pretty spooked. They get the Morbid trigger again. Our opponent's doing their thing. They're being pretty explosive. I mean, we can exile their graveyard once with Boggart Trawler, so do it right now while they have 10 cards in grave, or do I wait? Because next turn they're probably going to play the Rhino and 6 in the same turn. I guess I'm not doing anything else with my mana this turn. And they're not going to mill anymore, because they're just casting the Rhino and 6, and neither of those mills when they cast them, it's when they attack. I think I probably do Trawler right now. For mana efficiency. They have Foothills to thin a land out of the deck, make it more likely to draw the crabs. I guess we could have cast Blood-Soaked Insight there, since they let us hit them for 3. This would have cost 4 mana, so we wouldn't play anything off of it that turn, but maybe a land from their deck. Setting up for next turn. I guess that kind of was like our last opportunity to try to use Blood-Soaked Insight, since they're going to have really good blockers from here. Ooh, they're going for a different line with something that they do not have revealed to us. They're going for Ondu Knotmaster to buff up the flyers and speed up the race. Yep. It's a lot of damage. Gotta get some flex tape to fix that. Okay, there's the 4 mana for... They're just gonna play 6. They just wanted to sack something for the muster. I guess it lets them sack the landscape too. It's decent. Alright, so they're just gonna go for the no protection 6. No shield counter. Get another flyer. Land ain't great. We threaten a combat trick here by attacking into 6 with the Brood Scale. I guess if they take our bluff on it, they double block and we're in a bad spot. And they probably will take the bluff, because even without 6, they have 6 power of flyers on the board, which kill us in 2 swings. I don't really think they have any reason not to block here, so we probably cycle the landscape instead. I mean, I guess I could cast this for 7, sacking the Eldrazi spawn as well. So instead of drawing 1 out of our deck, we draw 3 out of theirs to use next turn. Our deck has Crabominations, though. We don't know what their deck has. Alright, I don't know. Yeah, no, they're just gonna block. So take 6, we cast Blood-Soaked Insight, then we take 6 and die next turn, is the likely outcome of this game. But we have really, really explosive cards to the point where we shouldn't concede yet. Because you never know what can happen off of a Carbomination. As we saw just one game ago. Ooh, just proliferate the +1/+1 counters? I mean, sure, we die exactly as fast as if they didn't proliferate, so that's fine. Unless they have a combat trick as well. Alright, cool with me. Oh, this is a sorcery? Well, oops, that's on me. I think I saw that earlier today as well, and then I just forgot. Well, I should have cast that during our turn then. I guess. Well, we can see what we would have had available to cast this turn. Let's see if it would have mattered. We would have had one flyer, which would have not been enough. Like, we would have cast both these spells this turn and still died in the sky. Alright. 1-1, heading into game 3. Alright, here we are on the play with 3 pieces of ramp towards Carbomination. This is the best opening hand we've had so far, and it is a snap keep. Playing against a red deck, hopefully without the cheap burn for Dryad. You know what? To the point where I'll play Solar Transformer, there's a lot less cards that kill that than cards that kill a Nightshade Dryad. They could just, like, turn 1 Galvanic Discharge a Dryad if I tap out for that. And now I can just double Dryad this turn. They don't kill both, we just Carbomination and go from there. I guess even if they kill one of them, I could have merged the Carbomination, sacking the Solar Transformer. What does this thing even do, by the way? Discard a card, exile the top 2, play 1 this turn. So discard a card, draw the best card from the top 2 each turn. It's pretty good. Oh, and any non-creature they put into exile they can convoke, so they can tap their creatures to help pay for it. Yeah, that's very solid. There's the Molten Gatekeeper. They did not kill any Dryads, which means we definitely get to Carbomination without sacking anything. So let's do it. And the options are Junk Diver, refurbish Familiar, consuming Corruption. Corruption is 1 damage, they have no 1 toughness cards, so Familiar it is. They discard a card, and we have a flyer as well now. That was a pretty great start to this game. I don't think I want to offer a Nightshade Dryad trade here. Hold that on blocks, send in our 5/5 and our flyer every turn, and start using Scurrilous Sentry to dig into another win condition, another crab or a giant worm. Or no, that's a dinosaur, is our giant trampler. I miss worms. Worms have been mostly replaced by dinosaurs now, as the big top-end creatures they like to print. Ghost Fire Slice, which they can convoke towards for 4 damage, so they kill the Familiar with that. If they have double removal, they could 2-for-1 themselves to kill Carbomination. That'd put them pretty far behind in cards. I don't think they would want to do that. But maybe they're in a bad position where they have to. Alright. Kill the flyer. Fair enough. Fanged Flames. We can exile the Gatekeeper and it can't unearth or anything. We could also just exile the Party Thrasher and stop their card selection. I could do that and Scurrilous Sentry. Let's just Scurrilous Sentry first and see what that finds. Finds anything that costs 3 or less that's relevant. Another Sentry? I feel like I keep a Spawn Gain Commander over another Sentry. Yeah, let's exile the Party Thrasher. They have less card selection this way. They're less likely to draw out of this position. And we just keep sending in a Crab and a Sentry. Worm Coil Larva, Death Touch lifelinking blocker. Super annoying. Spawn Gang onto the board with the mana to sack 2 Eldrazi spawn. So I could like kill the Gatekeeper here, so Sentry keeps getting in. But if they double block it, I just kill the Worm Coil Larva and then shoot the Death Toucher it makes. So I think I just let this happen. So if the larva dies, we kill the Death Touching worm. I did say I missed worms. Did say I missed worms. Not that kind of worm, though. Fanged Flames the Siege Gang. So do we pop the larva, or do we pop the Gatekeeper to try to get menace attacks in with Sentry? One off from popping the larva and the Death Toucher off of it. I think I just pop the Gatekeeper then and try to get Sentry in. I guess I'm actually 2 mana off, because I'd need 2 mana plus sack this Eldrazi spawn to then also kill another creature. No, they can double block Sentry still. All right. Land. Keep that to discard to Sentry. Honestly, Sentry's card selection is so good, we might send in the Crab just to keep Sentry around. Put the Worm Coil in front of the Crab. Yep. Well, I guess I still need to find a way to kill the Death Touch smaller worm to get the Sentry in here. Yeah, no, Worm Coil Larva is just super annoying for us. Whichever way we do it. If I just sent in Sentry, I guess I would get to kill... I'd still only kill one of those 2 creatures, and then the 5/5 wouldn't be getting in, because the 5/5 stopped by this 1/2 Death Touch worm. Yeah, literally either way. Pop the Sentry or pop the Crab here, and then next swing they pop the other one. I guess it's better to pop the Crab first, so that I get one more Sentry swing in the future. Oh boy. Therium Terramander could kill me fast. It's 5 power in the sky. That's not going to work how they want it to here. It would on blocks, but not on attacks. Cool. Eat for free. You gain 0. And now they don't have the double block for the Sentry also, because the Terramander can't block. There's a Gravedigg for Carbomination. Well, that's why we actually, we go ahead and let the Carbomination die, right? That's why we do it. Got exactly enough. Not enough to make the 2/2, but hey. There's a Flying Trumper, and we drew Writhing Chrysalis. I still have one Eldrazi spawn to chump their lifelink attack without them gaining any life. If they put the Ram on the Terramander, I can chump block that with Refurbished Familiar to stop all that damage from hitting me for 1,000,000. Second Cranial Ram. That's big. Probably just have to hold up a rammed up lifelinker for the rest of this game on blocks. Which is going to mean we're going to have to cast like a third Crabomination to flip this game around. We're going to have to get exceptionally rude. Well, not flip this game around. We are in the lead right now, but to wrap this game up. Cool. Yeah, I don't believe we send in the Skirtless Sentry right now then. I mean, our port state's bigger than theirs if they want to trade the lifelinker into the crab. But they could just trade the germ into the crab at this point. Maybe we just send in the Nightshade Dryads. Might not be terrible. Also, 3/3 looks good. Yeah, let them have a gain 7, but grind it out here. As long as they only gain the 7 one time. Like, we only offer attacks where the lifelinker would die. It would trade off. Okay, they're at 11 now with no more life gain. No more lifelink. This Chrysalis is just bigger than their Terramander. That's so rude. It's a 6/7. It needs to be. Lilia doesn't get to do anything. She dies on the swing. They can still dig with her and hope for the best. That looks like the play. The top card is a mountain, which is certainly not the best. Free kill. Free kill. Chrysalis is busted. And that should pretty much be GG. I don't think it's onboard lethal yet. They block the Chrysalis with Death Touch. Trump the crab, take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but they are over it. So we are now 2-1. That was the most explosive start there, so good on them for playing it out. They grinded hard, but we got to do multiple Crabominations there, one of which was real early, so pretty far ahead for most of the game. 2-1, heading into game 4. All right, here we are for game 4. We have a Crabomination in the opener. We have an Eldrazi spawn to help cast it early, but we have to rumble into multiple black sources. We need to top deck one black source naturally and have rumble find another. Stump Stomp is not a black source, so we get ready to rumble. That's a black source, the Twisted Landscape. I could Chrysalis next turn and just buy a lot of time against blue-black here. Chrysalis and 2 spawns. That's a hard choice with Carbomination in the hand. And a 2/1 flyer on their board. Ooh. I feel like Chrysalis is dumb enough. We take that here. Now they need removal for Chrysalis immediately. And we still have Carbomination in the end game. I can still like Precursor stomp this flyer pretty soon. Alright, we are really hoping they don't have reanimation spells, because 4/4 flyer with Annihilator 1 will completely end us here. The Annihilator 1 just making it so we can never get up in mana. We have to keep sacking a land every turn and never make it to the Carbomination. Alright, well, here is the Chrysalis we kind of gotta play. Be a Death Touch trick now. Or something. Force them to get this trick out of here. Wither and Bloom, -3, -3. So I can still kill the messenger, because I can make it 4 power. Alright, I wasn't saving these spawn anyway. So this is a 2-for-1. We get rid of Wither and Bloom and Emrakul's messenger. Unless they have another spell. Sure. Chrysalis got a 2-for-1, we'll take it. Now, we'll have Stomp for something else. We just go Brood Scale and Adapt. Build our own board again. They have the blue and a 1 counter here, I guess, with the amount of thinking they had there. Alright, they still have a blue and a 1 for that energy counterspell. So we Stomp and leave 3 mana up, so they definitely can't counter it. They actually have so much mana up, there's no way they counter the spell. If they have a bounce spell, that's going to be rough. Our black sources are running and hiding for their life right now. They're like, nope, not this game, my friend. Now let's see what other card they have for 2 mana if it is not the counter. Okay, it's probably the counter. And that just couldn't do anything there. Cool. Here's a menace threat. There you go. Oh, counter a triggered ability or colorless spell? Oh, they're main decking it because they hate Chrysalis that much? Yeah, fair enough, I guess. That's gonna be super rough, though, when they're against, like, Boros energy. That's gonna kill me if I do not find a black source for Rebirth. Actually, Rebirth won't kill it, it's 4 damage. Yeah, that's probably gonna kill me. What does it do? Whenever another non-token permanent control leaves the battlefield, choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. Okay, so every time they lose a permanent, they get a 2/2 Vigilant or a 1/2 Flyer or a 1/1 Lifelinker, and they can put a counter on the whole board. So that, yeah, that's super bad. They can just sack an Eldrazi spawn and trigger that. Oh, it only triggers on non-tokens. Okay. Still scary. Still very scary. And there is the first black source for Pyretic Rebirth. Sure, I'll Gatekeeper Rebirth them here. If they block these at all, then I kill Genku. And if they don't block, then I just get a good chunk of damage in here. Cool. Get some damage in. Here's the Kami then, right? Nothing here worth rebirthing. Has to be a permanent, right? artifact or creature. So I guess I'd Rebirth Chrysalis. But I wouldn't be killing Genku. I'm just gonna play a Kami. I don't really want to Rebirth when I'm not actually killing something. Like, technically, I could get the spawn off their board. Ooh, totally forgot about the lands. Yeah, that's really good. That Genku works with the lands. 1/1 lifelinking rat it is. Chump blocker is the choice. Another non-token permanent. So if they flicker Genku, nothing happens. They need other cards. Get some +1/+1 counters. Or Death Toucher still works if they can't kill it. Another counter on the lifelinker. Boom! 3/3 lifelinker to attack into a 1/3 Death Toucher. Very nice. You got it. I don't think I just counter 3 life gain with this spawn right now. Mana could be relevant. Now I can repurpose her and still have Rebirth up. Probably just repurpose her and we're chilling on blocks. Sneaky Snacker can keep coming back from the grave if they've drawn 3 or more cards. Here comes the lifelinker. Could try to kill that with Rebirth since I want to Rebirth the Chrysalis anyway. Sure, let's see if the last card in their hand is a counter. It is not. Yeah, I don't think we want to shoot the Snacker, because I'm going to play a reach creature, and if the Snacker if the Snacker dies, they get a replacement anyway with Genku. Oh, Genku puts a counter on everything, not even just tokens? That's super, super bad. Actually. There's our black source with the Nightshade Dryad. You can cast Dryad and Chrysalis. That holds off blocks for a little bit, but they just have that super mana sink for the rest of the game here. That we are super, super worried about. So any turn in the top deck war where they don't hit anything relevant, just put a counter on everybody and get closer to a better board, and there you go. That's 2 more creatures to put the counters onto, and it's cheap enough to cast and use Genku's ability in the same turn, which is ridiculous. Very, very live draw. But they're tapped out for the Crebomination that's coming next turn, so we definitely exile the 1 card in their hand. See what else we can do. Here we go. Search your library for a card with mana value less than or equal to your devotion to black. Our devotion to black is currently 3. It would be 4 if I pick Grim Servants. Well, we have to pick that because Consigned to Memory doesn't do anything. Okay, so find something that costs 4 or less. Skirless Sentries, a Boggart, Nightshade thing. Sits. There's a Crabomination and an Altasaur in there, but they're too high devotion to take. Those are what we really want. Fang Flame's any good here? Exiling the Snacker instead of putting in their grave is kind of big. Exiling the Apprentice as well, kind of big. It would still trigger Genku, but we wouldn't worry about all that life loss and everything anymore. Fortunately, no hard removal to choose from. Just the soft removal that won't kill Genku. Probably Apprentice. Or probably Apprentice. Probably Flames to kill Apprentice. Oh, shoot, I don't have the red mana up, though. It's a little rough. Four, 7, we can have a 5 power Chrysalis. Yeah, we don't have attacks here. Etched Slith, counter on the whole board. Things are close to insurmountable. That's kind of wild. Sure, it's a 4/4, right? I guess I lose a life, but I'm gonna kill it. They replace it with a flyer. I guess they're just trying to replace their board with flyers or something here. That is a 4/4. 2, 3, 4, 5. They have one Eldrazi spawn, so they have 6 mana. Doesn't make anything that changes it. Whenever another modified creature you control dies, put 2+1/+1 counters on it. Never mind, they can sack the Eldrazi spawn in response. So it's not a 4/4, it's a 6/6, technically. Because they can sack an Eldrazi spawn, that makes it a 5/5. They can use Genku's ability, that makes it a 6/6. How do we block a 6/6? Just with the Death Toucher? Chrysalis is a 5, not a 6, so it is 1 off. I guess just with a Death Toucher, right? Wait, they're still gonna sack the spawn? I guess a little more life gain. Sure. Cool. Man, we are really losing to our lack of just like one destroy target creature spell. Because we could have tutored it out last turn and everything. Okay, Chrysalis becomes completely insane now. Kill an etched Slith, they get a token. Oh, I tapped out a red again. I have to Dryad to kill the Apprentice here. Yeah, they don't have a way to buff it right now. I tell you what would have been good. Also, for this exact game, shut off all blockers for a turn thing would have been insane. I guess they have multiple flyers, but it would have been good. Nice. And I guess with 6 Eldrazi spawn, I just start edicting them. A possible way they have good blocks. But then I have no flying blockers at 10. I can shoot the Sneaky Snacker for 4. Yeah. Oh, I could sack Repurposer for another spawn for even more sack fodder. I'll keep that in mind for later. In fact, with only 4 spawn, maybe I do it right now. I do have Connive cards in this deck. I should hold on to 1 land. Well, if I respond to this by trying to kill the fox, they respond by putting a counter on the whole board. So I'd have to sack all of the spawn. Kill the Etched Slith, I guess? Ooh, almost timed out. I don't know, maybe it was still worth killing a token just so they didn't get a wider board. Man. Draws are not helpful. The only way they kill Chrysalis is by losing Genku, so we send it. Alright, that's 2 more creatures because of Genku's ability. They got the land to double that up? Oh, no, they don't. So no Genku this turn? I'm going to put 2 counters on the lifelinker instead of 1 counter on the whole board. Alright, they're not going to hold cards in hand, so we just slam dunk the Kerbomination immediately. We get the Knotmaster. I believe we can adventure and cast the creature, right? But we need a white source, right? Because it's going to go into exile, but we have the white source off the Dryad. Should have like all modified creatures on board. I can cast Knotmaster next turn, swamp white source. Knotmaster, and then when anything dies, we're good. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They could block Chrysalis with everybody. I would do 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I would kill everybody. Alright, they bit the bullet and we kill the Genku. No longer have to deal with that, but they no longer have to deal with Chrysalis. 1-for-1 trade here and they gain 4. They are playing off the top. We're basically both playing off the top now. Try to get there with that 2-3 lifelinker. Here's Knotmaster pre-combat, so when our creatures die, this gets counters. It is Breathe Your Last off the top to kill one of our modified creatures before we can attack, which is gross. Yeah, that was a really good draw because that was our only good attacker, is 6/6. That was our only attacker that could kill their 5/5. I guess our 5/5 can kill their 5/5, but it doesn't modify the Knotmaster. The only attack I can make, they can eat the Brood Scale for free. Alright, back to the top deck war. Our board state is favored, even though we're lower on life. I think our board state's just a tiny bit favored here. Ooh. I don't know how relevant that will be, but we can say goodbye to their graveyard. It's cute. Sure. Could get got by a flash creature, that'd be sad. But I'll still have 2 blockers for the 4/3. Mainly just the 3/1 to put on the 4/3. Cursed Marauder. Each player sacks a non-token. Sack a modified creature and buff our lifelink then. Let's go. Come on, no removal for the lifelink, please. No removal for the lifelink. They're down to 6. There's the Serum Visionary to draw another card. Ooh, okay. Envoy of the Ancestors to give them a couple points of lifelink is a very big deal. If I draw 2 off Gargantua, I will mill first. But we have some really live draws, I'm pretty sure. We still have Graveyard Recursion for these Kerbominations. Oh, no, we used Rebirth and Gravedigger already. I could draw Scurrilous Sentry, Annoyed Altasaur, Blood-Soaked Insight. Okay, because I could draw Blood-Soaked Insight, we know that we're not going to mill out first, because we'll just Insight them later. That's 3 cards out of their deck. Okay. they're just going to concede right now anyway. Fair enough. That was a long, grindy one, and even in a deck without the hard removal to kill the Genku, we managed to outgrind it. Thanks to a lot of Crabominations to make our board wide, but thanks to the incredibly massive Chrysalis threats to make them chump so many times, our common being one of the MVPs that game. Obviously, the Crabominations did a lot of work, but we also showed off how insanely busted the Writhing Chrysalis is that game. Broken stuff from some broken cards manages to beat a pretty sweet rare and a pretty sweet deck from our opponent, and we are now 3-1 as we head into game number 5. All right, here we are for game 5. On the play, this is just a 2-lander, but thanks to the Boggart Bog, we don't have to mulligan it. And I kind of don't want to with 2 different Eldrazi spawn towards the Crabomination. Yeah, I think it's a keep, and it's only a keep thanks to our modal card here. Although our modal card has not done very much as the 3-1 body, so... Ooh, double Crabomination! Gonna have to work towards that 6 mana, but... we hit lands. This is an explosive hand. There's a Smelted Charge Bug. Nightshade Dryad is kind of a mana. Alright, we threaten to make this a 3-3 so they never block and we get a free point of damage. We drop the Dryad and hope they don't burn it away. They hit the Brood Scale. Alright, I'd rather they kill the Brood Scale than the Dryad. So we take those. Fanged Flames is the draw. Drop Repurposer. So far we are 0 for 2 on land draws out of our top decks, which is very rough. Got to start winning some of these coin flips soon. Stay in the game, but we've got 2 Eldrazi spawn tokens off of Repurposer alone. So I only need 4 lands total to cast a Crabomination. Lumpus Aberration. They didn't spend colorless? Oh no! It's an enter the battlefield trigger, not a cast trigger. Oh no! I'm sorry, opponent. That's so brutal. Worst case scenario, I get to use their fight spell? Oh my god. Yeah. Lumpus Aberration really bailed me out there. Oh, Mr. Krabs was really feeling it. Let's go. We are 4-1 heading into game 6. Here we are for game 6, and you know what we do when there's a Crabomination in the opener. You know what we do when there's a Writhing Chrysalis in the opener. Snap. Heap. We also have double black, thanks to the Boggart Trawler, and red and green thanks to Landscape and Foothills. So we'll probably go green source off the Landscape immediately. Foothills is always an untapped source, so that can be the last of the 2 color lands we play. Stump Stomp? We're trying to make it to 6 mana, so we could just play it right now, but Chrysalis ramps into Crabomination. So if we just cast a Chrysalis turn 4, we're still good. So I'm just going to play the Boggart Bog. And just get ready for turn 4 Chrysalis off of these lands alone. Okay. Still have red source off the Foothills. This does not give me red. Can't do that. I could crack it for a black, just to thin lands out of the deck here, since I'm not casting anything this turn. But I could also keep it in case we hit our spawn-producing thingy, so I'll do that. Although I guess if I really want to thin a land out, I would have played Foothills this turn. Grab the red right now. Okay, they're green-white, and Chrysalis has a cast trigger. It's not an enter the battlefield trigger, so they shouldn't have anything to stop us from getting the spawn tokens towards playing Crabomination next turn at the very least. And obviously if they don't deal with the Chrysalis, then they're going to be in a very bad spot, dealing with a Chrysalis and a Crab. Alright, they do have the Dog Umbra for the Chrysalis. He got that dog in him. He's still going to be a great target for our Stump Stomps. Because now they can't even, like, respond to a Stump Stomp with removal of their own to counter it super well, because they would be killing something that's already dead, basically. They wouldn't get a 2-for-1, a reverse 2-for-1 or anything. Alright, Crabomination, lose 1 spawn. And see what we hit. I guess there's nothing in their grave, which is awkward, but we still get 2 options. Dog Umbra and Serum Visionary. Well, right back at you with the Dog Umbra. Could have sent in the Eldrazi spawn. Send a message. Hit for 0. Witch Enchanter blows up the Dog Umbra. Alright. Solid stuff there. That means the Aberration sends in. Big damage. Could jump just a Grave Dig Abomination. I'm going to want this in the grave later, but I don't think I do that right now because I wouldn't be able to afford to recast it immediately. Like, once I drop a Repurposer and I can set up double blocks to kill the Aberration, oh my god, and then I can, like, Rebirth Crabomination. Yeah. Like that plan a lot. We do this, and then we have black-red double colorless for Rebirth here. And we have the double block set up for the Aberration. So I don't have anything big enough to stomp where it matters. I guess I could just attack for 5, but 6/6 trample. I think we are trying to set up the double blocks. We need 1 more Eldrazi to get sacrificed before Chrysalis is big enough to stomp away the Aberration. So once Repurposer dies, and god, I hate that card. Super annoying. The value engine kind of rares. But we've got a Crabomination on board, so we're one to talk. We got ridiculous bombs too. Nadu's just really annoying, because now if I kill anything on their board, they draw a card every time I do. And if they buff anything on their board, they draw a card every time they do. Alright, snap double block. Please let me. Thank you. Please kill Crabomination. Alright, well, they drew a card, but they did kill Crabomination. And saved the Wumpus Aberration. Rebirth on Nadu now instead of Wumpus Aberration, because we don't want them to draw a card when we kill Nadu and draw a card when we kill Aberration. I guess I do have to top deck a land to recast this, actually, since I'm out of Eldrazi spawn. No! Oh my god, dude. Hit the green source for the indestructible trick you drew? God dang it, Nadu. Why are you so broken? Well, now they have 2 Dog Umbers in their grave, so 50-50 that out of the grave we get removal. Not that it's removal that stomps Nadu's ability. Come on, Crabomination. They could crack the landscape in response and make it slightly less than a 50-50 that I hit a Dog Umbra from the grave. I don't know what those cards are. Let's see. Area Auxiliary, and we failed our coin flip from the grave. But now I have a big enough Crabomination to trade into the Aberration. Oh my god. The draw is Evolution Witness for the Dog Umbra. With exactly enough mana because Nadu gave him extra lands. Alongside all the card draw. Who would win, Nadu or Kerbomination? Kerbomination. Or sorry, Nadu. I lied. I want it to be Kerbomination. Yep, now they can just Dog Umbra and save their creature, which is better than them Dog Umbering our Crab down because it means that they draw another card off of Nadu. I mean, we deserve this probably, since we're exclusively bombing people out for wins, but it doesn't make Nadu any less frustrating or broken as a card. Need to Stump Stomp Nadu next turn, so I need to get this Dog Umbra out of here. I guess we still force them to use it by blocking like this. I don't get to Gravedigg a Kerbomination, but I'm not going to right now anyway. Oh, they're just saving the Dog Umbra. Absolutely gross. Well, I mean, now they have to put it on Nadu immediately. It's not even that good for me, though. Because the way that Umbras work, Totem Armor, is that it's going to have protection forever. So I'll have to double removal it later. I guess this is another chance at hitting their other Dog Umbra from their grave. Because again, if I Stump Stomp, they respond with the Umbra, and it doesn't do anything. Umbra on the Witness would be wild. Okay, yeah, they put it on Nadu. Well, I wonder what we do when these are the options. Maybe we can barely outrace Nadu if they top deck just a land next turn. Because they could attack, then we kill the one blocker and kill them. See, we've got an even bigger question now. Who would win? Nadu or 2 Kerbominations? Technically 3 since I recast. They didn't draw dead. It looks like they drew something that matters. They drew a spell. So it is not looking great for the Crab squad. Ay. All right. Oh my god. They just run a runner with Nadu into a bounce spell creature. The Umbra only falls off if it would die, right? Yeah, so blocking doesn't get rid of it like it would a shield counter. Oh, they don't have the colorless mana. Oh, sick. Okay, so they don't have the colorless for that, so they are not dead. Because if I kill the Witness, they still have a 3/3 Elk. Anything I could Gravedigg to kill them? No, there's nothing in my grave, period. I have to find a 2-turn lethal. $13. And we just go blocker here. Maybe I shouldn't have attacked with auxiliary because we're still kind of likely to get 2-turn lethal. It takes 3 Crabominations, but we break through the Nadu just barely in the end. We've had some insane games of Magic today, and none of them have been particularly fair. I am sure, as terrified and annoyed as I was by the Nadu, it is 10 times worse for our opponents that are having to face like triple Crabomination enter the battlefield triggers. Absolutely filthy things from this deck, and we are now 5-1, guaranteed to be in the money. Oops, I'm looking at the completely worthless Horizon Hideaway. Get that garbage off my screen. Let me look at my record real quick. All right, there we go. We are now in the money, so no matter what happens with this deck, we get to leave with more gems than we paid to enter the events, and we get to draft some more for free, which is awesome. So we'll see if we can keep drawing Crabominations and casting them, or if we draw some of our weaker cards and get some losses, but we'll find out soon enough as we head into round 7. Here we are on the play. No green source for Nightshade Dryad makes this a mulligan, I think. Yeah, I mean, if we had a green source, it'd be a Snap Keep, turn 2 Dryad, turn 3 Sentry, but otherwise it's like, there is the black source for these cards, but that's all 4 mana and up. Yeah, I think we got a mulligan that one. All this is gross looking mana, but very good mana. And I think we keep it. It's a lot of colorless for Spawn Gang Commander. It's actually all 3 of our landscapes. But I do have to ditch 1 to get the Nightshade Dryad. From there I can have the right sources, I think. So let's keep... Actually... might want to get rid of the Dryad, because I could get more Eldrazi spawns out of the Brood Scale here, but Dryad also ramping up into the thing is good. Yeah, no. I think we get rid of the Brood Scale, and we just Dryad on turn 2. There is a red source. Let's go. That means we cast Spawn Gang next turn. Well, 2 turns from now. I lied. We can stomp this messenger and play this mana rock we just drew, which feels good. It's another colorless source for all of the spawn tokens. I guess I could have just held on to Stomp since I will eventually have 2 damage to throw anywhere off of this Spawn Gang commander. Maybe it was worth not attacking with Nightshade Dryad for just an untapped colorless source. So that if I immediately want to sacrifice a spawn, then it would cost me less spawn tokens, right? Because right now, since I completely tapped out, if I need to do 2 damage, I'd have to sack all 3 spawns for the commander itself. Alright, big 0-12 shapeshifters here. Gravedigg doesn't do anything right now. Draw a card off this landscape. Kinda think I do. Let's cycle. Another land? Alright, sure. I don't think I have too much mana to play this, even though I could hit my connive thingy. We have no attacks. These are 0-1s, not 1-1s, so we pass. Gargantua. That's big. I could just throw 2 spawn at it and they draw 0 cards, though. Sure. Nice little 2-for-1. We still have a Spawn Gang commander around, and we completely dealt with their Gargantua. I guess I could sack the commander just to get Gravedigg going later. The Fanged Flames. So I suppose could have ended up using that instead of sacking spawns, but all good. Grim Servant. Well, I can kill that. Make their devotion to black 0. I think I make it 0 before that resolves, technically, right? Yep. They still have to lose the true life, but now they just get a land. Cool. Not that they probably had a particularly good 1-drop, but we'd still want to kill a 3/2 reach anyway. This is probably going to get countered, but what can you do? We still get the Cascade. It does not get countered. Let's go. Uh-oh. Copy Crook the Altasaur. Well, they don't get the Cascade, so it's not terrible for me. And I can just throw Spawn Gang and Fanged Flames at that to clear the path. Ooh. And I've got a Pyretic Rebirth for later. You know, with this much Graveyard Recursion, I would rather trade Altasaur into their Altasaur, but they'll probably just bounce off and block my other stuff. So, yeah, we don't really get the option of trading these things off. Should still have Pyretic Rebirth back to pick up the Spawn Leader. Better than just Gravedigging it? I'd probably just Gravedigg it. But I can kill one of their blockers at the end of their turn, which is spicy. No, I'll still go for the Rebirth. Okay, that's not a spicy blocker to kill. Comes back as a 3/3, but it comes back tapped, which is something. I mean, still gives us a good play for next turn. I wish I Gravedigged it at that point, if that was how we were going to draw. I, again, probably shouldn't be attacking with Dryad. I'd rather Gargantua than Spawn Gang. No. Spawn Gang to shoot face is kind of crazy here. And it plays better against the counter because we still get the spawn. We can just shoot their face for 8 next turn. It's any target. There's Unfathomable Truths doing some digging. Kappa Cannoneer, but they're tapped out, and Spawn Gang Commander's gonna find the kill here. For sure. Just sack 3 more Eldrazi. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Ooh. Ooh. Why did it auto-pay a colorless? Well, I can still win. I almost lost to auto-pay. Alright. That is 6-1. No crabs, no problem. We can still get there with disgusting Spawn Gang Commander plus recursion plays. Very, very nasty game. Incredible stuff from the Spawn Gang Commander, just controlling the early game and winning the end game with a bunch of damage to face. We are 6-1 heading into the final battle. All right, it's time for the final boss. If we can find a win here, we are out of the event with a full 7-win trophy run. If we fail, we do have another chance. I'm going to keep this hand and get that Nightshade Dryad into Spawn Gang Commander game plan going again. Against the red source where they could have the Galvanic thing, I would rather start with Solar Transformer. Just go for Scurrilous Sentry next turn to play around the 1 red 2 damage spell. Yeah, they're Boros, so they are definitely a good color pair for the 1 mana 3 damage spell. So I will go ahead and go for the Scurrilous Sentry first. It also helps me dig for my bombs. They could kill it before this ability resolves. Make sure it's not out of reach of the 3 damage thing. Ooh, Gravedig and Pyretic Rebirth. If I'm gonna have both of those, I think I just keep the Rebirth here. Alright, it is now too late for them to shoot with the 1 mana 3 damage burn. Skittering Precursor is the play, so we're both just gonna menace right past each other. I could play another Sentry at this point. Just don't do Spawn Gang shenanigans. Sure. All Sentries all day. Seems not bad if we just keep discarding non-land cards. Like now I can just discard the Dryad. Got the 2nd red off of Solar Transformer if I want to do that. If I want to do the Spawn Gang Commander, that is. I'm really tempted to just go full-on Scurrilous Sentry time, though. I'm just gonna do it. There's a Crabomination. 1 mana away from playing that next turn, so discard Precursor and play the land towards it. If we top deck a land, we're playing a Crabomination. What does Scurrilous even mean? I don't know. Oh, that one gets Ghostfire Sliced. Then the Inventor's Axe on the Precursor to slam for 5. We are still super winning this race, and Crabomination is guaranteed to hit 4 damage to their Precursor as the worst case scenario if we find the land for it. If we don't find the land for it, we can still Rebirth, and Sentry can look for the land. Sentry finds the land. Now I've got an Altasaur off 1 more mana, so I'm getting rid of the Spawn Gang. Sadly, this is only when they sack stuff though, right? Okay, never mind. I was going to say, sadly, this land gives them a spawn. No, it doesn't. They're not sacking a thing for it. We are. Alright. Here's Crabomination. Ghostfire Slice the Precursor is the worst case scenario. So Ghostfire Slice the Precursor and they exile a card from hand forever. Let's go. Solstice Zealot has arrived. We can Rebirth that out of the way and attack for 11 if I discard a non-land card to the Sentry. Also Fanged Flames it for 2 and still have a Rebirth up for later. And still attack for lethal. Here is 11 damage. I gotta discard the Altasaur, but I pick it up with Pyretic Rebirth if they survive. And there we go. Gross, gross, gross game there. The double Sentry actually being the kind of dream team little Menace Wombo combo early was kind of nice. So, big overperformer to Scurrilous Sentry in that one. Honestly, big overperformer to the whole deck. It looks somewhat like a random assortment of cards, but it has a few very, very powerful bombs, and I think that was the biggest thing going for it. Obviously, getting lucky and drawing Crabominations quite frequently was a huge way to win these games. The Chrysalis as well. Constant high impact card as well as the Spawn Gang Commander. So technically only 2 bomb rares. But because the Altasaur is such a big cascade trigger, it kind of feels like 3 top-end bombs and 2 mid-range bombs with how good Chrysalis and Spawn Gang Commander are. Just a really explosive deck with cheap ways to try to make sure we consistently hit the mana to cast those cards, and looked like it was good enough, even with some filler in here like Trawler and Kami and Gatekeeper and whatever. We had enough non-filler, enough powerful cards that we just really got there at 7-1. And again, huge overperformer to Scurrilous Sentry in that last game. Just being a big spooky menace card was pretty nice to get a bunch of damage in early to make the Crabomination kill real quick at the top end, so that was cool. And I think everything in the deck really got to shine. It got to do its thing and help out a bit. Don't think there's any card in the deck that we didn't end up casting. Maybe Malevolent Rumble? I think we did this once. I think we did this one time. But we grave digged just for a 2/2 one time. And that was still relevant that game. I think we got to grave dig and actually pick up something once. Again, not the greatest. This was a way better Pyretic Rebirth deck than the last time I tried to play this. I tried to play this in something super aggressive. Like the Rakdos sack deck, and it was like really bad. Feels a lot better when you have really impactful abilities off of casting or entering the battlefield, like Crabomination, Spawn Gangs, Chrysalises to recast. Then this is huge, because instant speed, 4 damage, burn, plus pick up your good ETB card for more value. But then it's really slow, but very good if you get to that late game. So Rebirth was another overperformer just because I almost never wanted to play the card again with how bad it did last time, but it was really just not a good deck for the card. Despite having good ways to end up with some small creatures in grave, picking up a small creature with Rebirth is just not very good. So anyways, super sweet deck, super sweet games. A lot of those games I was certain I was going to lose, and then crazy Crabomination plays completely flipped things around. So yeah, wild stuff today, and it's going to be another trophy run for this premiere draft of Modern Horizons 3. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for supporting the channel, as well as you for watching the video. If you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.